Hello and welcome back to Lessons in Attachment. Today, I want to talk to you about asking questions. These are the kind of questions that you don't want to be asking. You sometimes don't want the answers to, or are not able to accept the answers. These are sometimes the questions that can cause, I guess, a bit of a gap between you and the person that you like, because they can be like interrogating someone sometimes. So, we're talking about the kind of questions that so many of you are probably quietly dealing with behind closed doors. And it's times when you're anxious, you may or may not even realize that this is when it's happening. But when you get triggered by something, when a fear is activated, a core belief is activated, there is this urge to ask questions. And sometimes it will be so automatic now that you barely know what's happening. But it will be things like, do you love me? Are you mad at me? Are you definitely happy with me? Do you promise you're not going anywhere? You're not going to leave me? You're never going to cheat on me? Even though you asked it yesterday, you asked it last week, there's something about the answers you've been given that you're unable to accept. Like straight away, you're doubting them. So if you can relate to this urge to ask questions, the need for reassurance, then this episode is for you. And it's not like it just has to be romantic relationships. You might find that you're asking your friends if they're mad at you, if you've done something wrong. You might find that you're asking your colleagues, your boss for reassurance. So we're going to dive today, we're going to dive into the reasons that you keep asking, what's going on for your body, your mind, your nervous system, and why getting the answer never really soothes you for long. If you relate to this episode in any way, I have a free workshop to help you break anxious cycles, just like this one, just like the seeking reassurance cycle. So you go to the link in my description and you will see the free workshop right there at the top. Let's set the scene. Something feels off. You haven't heard from them today or as much as you usually do. Maybe they've seemed a little bit quieter than usual. Your body starts to react. You feel the sensations, the buzzing. Perhaps you feel a bit lighter than usual. Your heart starts racing. Your brain starts spiraling, scanning for danger. And before you even have a chance to realize that you're in this cycle, you haven't even realized what's happening. The questions have started. Are they pulling away? Did I say something wrong? Have they met someone else? Do they still find me attractive? Are they texting someone else? Especially if you start to gather other evidence, you've seen that they're online and they've not messaged you back. You'll start building up all of these questions and they start to feel really urgent. You will feel like you need the answers right now. The only way to feel better is if you know if these things are true right now. But the relief, if it ever comes, it doesn't last. You either try to answer these questions yourself for hours or you put it to the other person. And this happens a lot. And you don't believe their answers. So you may keep asking and keep asking and keep asking. And you may not even realize it, but you're stuck in a cycle, the kind of cycle that I know that I am on this earth to help people break, because I've been there and it's not who we are. And it certainly doesn't align with our happiness and our well-being. So let's think about a cycle, because it's not just overthinking. This is a loop that you get stuck on. And to be fair, it is a protective loop that your nervous system has learned. You may have seen me, if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen me sharing similar cycles like this. So, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's carly.ann_. So a trigger happens, something happens to send you into this spiral, this reaction. That's the delayed text. They didn't use an emoji. There's a change in tone. You find out that someone you don't like is going to a party that they're going to, and you have this fear response. Immediately, your nervous system senses threat. you feel anxious, unsettled, interrogation mode. Yeah, the behavior and the mental behavior is that you go into like detective mode. You try to regain control through questioning, either out loud or in your mind. And in some cases, like I said, you may get temporary relief. You may feel better if you get an answer for a second. You might feel like that's a little win, but it usually doesn't last and the panic returns and then you go back into the same cycle. And that's where the rifts start, because it's like we had this conversation an hour ago, we had this conversation yesterday, and sometimes you haven't even been with this person long enough to be having these kind of questions, or not to not be having them. That doesn't sound right. That sounds like you haven't got the right to ask questions, especially if you are doubting something, because we do have the right to have uncomfortable conversations. I guess it's about our intention. And if you have recently met someone and then you're interrogating, it gives an insight into what the relationship could be like. And that's the time that people are making decisions about, is this sustainable? Is this going to be a long-term relationship? Or if you've been together already, you're committed in a relationship, you may find that this is something that the person tells you that they're quite fed up with. And it's not your fault. Yeah, this is all happening for a reason. It's a threat state. It is unhealed wounds. It is a protective act to get the answers to these questions. Let's pause actually and just get clear on something, because this part of the conversation is really important. Let's think about reassurance and certainty, because reassurance is what's happening here by asking all the questions. So in this case, reassurance will be someone telling you what you want to hear in that moment in an attempt to soothe your fear. Yeah, whatever it is that you're fearing, that you're seeking the reassurance to try and soothe that. Certainty is a feeling of absolute knowing how things are going to play out, knowing what they're thinking, knowing how they'll act, knowing the relationship is safe and that they will never leave you. In this situation, you are asking for reassurance, hoping that it is going to give you certainty. They are not the same thing. Reassurance is this quick fix to try and ease that discomfort for a few minutes or hours, days, weeks, sometimes. Certainty is what you're really chasing. Okay, but it's out of reach. To get certainty, you would need to be able to see inside their mind. I've said to my clients before, what would absolutely put you at ease? Do you need to be able to see what they are thinking in order to trust them, in order to believe these answers? You would need to know for a fact that this person's never going to change. They're never going to leave. They're never going to feel differently. They're never going to meet someone else. And no one, not even the person you love and trust, can promise you that with 100% certainty. And that's not easy to hear. But relationships require trust. They require risk taking. Even if this person genuinely loves you, you're lovable, so it's very possible. Don't doubt it. Even if they want to stay forever, even if they say all of the right things, that still might not be enough for you. You still might not believe it, because you know deep down they cannot give you the certainty that you feel you need. Sometimes they don't even fully know how they feel in this moment. And if they say, like, oh, I don't know what I'm feeling, you need certainty. How do you feel? Are you mad at me? What's wrong with you? Why have you been off lately? You need certainty. And you will expect them to give it to you, which is tough because, like I say, sometimes they don't know. But that's when we ask the questions. How are you? What's wrong? What's going on? Why have you been quiet recently? But why did you do that? But why did you say that? No, not because there's something wrong with you. Like I say, it's that urge to protect. Even after all the reassurance, the brain will still whisper, but what if they're just saying that? What if they don't really mean it? How can they know for sure? You might even find that you get mad at people. Like, how can you promise me something when you don't know how you're going to feel 10 years from now, but yet you're asking those questions? We don't even want the answers to these questions sometimes. We don't, you might ask questions about their past that you already know the answer to because you've done the investigating. You already know who they were out with on the weekend, but you're testing them, checking, you know? And like I say, it's the reassurance to try and get safety. We're not connecting with someone in these moments, we're interrogating. You want to connect with people. We don't want to feel manipulated. We don't want to feel like we're being tested. You don't want to feel like that. And no one else wants to feel like that. And hopefully, you're not in a situation where you're allowing yourself to feel like that. And if you are, and this is like a two-way street, then that's another question for you to have with yourself. To start with at this point, there is something I would say you can do. You might have heard me talk in previous episodes about the shift or spiral technique. This is also inside the attachment recovery gym, if you remember there. And the idea is that when you feel that urge to ask the questions, you give yourself the opportunity to shift state. So it's an acronym. So you spot the thought and the trigger, notice exactly, what the questions are, notice what thoughts are coming up for you. Halt and pause for 90 seconds. Literally stop what you're doing and give your body time to let this panic, these questions move through you. No action. Just allow those chemicals, the adrenaline, to move through you because you're triggered. Inspect, take a quick inner snapshot of what's going on for you inside. What am I feeling? What stories am I telling myself? What am I reacting to? What images am I having about my future or the past? Free the thoughts through visualization. I love visualization. Try imagining this question drifting away. Try to imagine yourself moving on without the need to ask this question, and imagine how you'll feel if you manage to move through this moment without needing to seek this reassurance. And take time to ask, what do I need right now from myself? How can I soothe myself in this moment? What do I need? And maybe that is something to journal on, because you are in need of something. There is an unmet need here. But is seeking reassurance really the way to go? It's not going to last before you need to ask again. You need to sit with the discomfort that you feel when you want to ask the questions. Instead of asking the questions, don't ask them and see what happens. That's the simple experiment for you. That might seem too good to be true. What do you mean? That's exactly what we'll be talking about inside Stuck to Secure. So do come and check that out, because I will be giving experiments like that. Something that sounds so simple, but why? But there is psychology behind it. We know that it reduces anxiety. I wouldn't say it otherwise. You're not crazy. You're not doomed. These questions are coming from a place of self-love, actually, or self-protection. Let's say self-protection. Self-love is not asking them. Self-protection. You're a good person. I know that you're doing your best. I know that your nervous system is responding to the past, reacting to the past. And this is what anxious attachment looks like. Okay. I will be back here again soon. Come and follow me on Instagram, carly.ann_. I would love, love, love to know your key takeaways from this, what you want me to expand more on, what you want me to talk about. Come and join me inside Stuck to Secure. I'd love to support you through the cycle that you're stuck in right now. And yeah, thank you for being here. As I've said many times before, it's an honor and I don't take it for granted. And I'll see you right back here soon.